a strengthened investigative process, persons will be pursued with seriousness, diligence, and the full force of the law. Two significant convictions were recently secured, marking a major milestone in our fight against this accountable. With regard to the African Commission on Human and People's Rights, the government continues to meet its obligation with respect to the Commission. The building provides more space than the previous headquarters and is equipped with a lift for use by the Commission and its visitors, including persons with that. The Commission is here to stay, and we will do everything possible within our limited resources to ensure a smooth functioning, fit-for-purpose Human Rights Commission for the African continent. To process, the public is urged not to refrain from hate speech or any conduct that has the tendency to inflame tensions. Such conduct is prohibited on that. Individuals are reminded that such conduct is not beyond the reach of the law. Hate speech affects the dignity and human rights of these groups against each other to start wars, conflict, and even genocide. I cannot this of the late Fafa Imbai and Mr. Usman Silla, as well as Mr. Counsel Fofana. We recognize and acknowledge continue to rest in peace, and the Almighty would grant consolation to the families they left behind. Your Excellency, my lords, distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, as we commence the legal year, the Ministry of Justice reiterates its commitment to strengthening the rule of law, enhancing access to justice, and ensuring that all mandates. We look forward to continued collaboration with the judiciary, the bar, law enforcement agencies, and our development partners as we work collectively to advance justice delivery in 2026. I thank you all for your kind attention.
Honorable Attorney General and Minister of Justice, who is out of the jurisdiction. I now have the great honor and privilege to invite my Lord the Honorable Chief Justice of the Gambia Assembly.
The President of the Republic, Mr. Adam Barrow, Honorable Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Judges of the Superior Court, Mayor of the City of Banjul, Your Worships, Magistrates and Cadets, Excellencies, members of the Diplomatic Corps, President and members of the Gambia Bar, Regional Governors, President Seyfolu, and members of the District Tribunals, venerable religious leaders, members, once again, warmly welcome Your Excellency, Mr. Adam Barrow, President of the Republic, along with all our esteemed guests, to the premises of the judiciary on this significant occasion, marking the commencement of the 2026 legal year. Your continued presence and participation in this ceremony, Your Excellency, reflect. In the course of the year, we've lost the company of some of our esteemed members, and as we stand here today, we'd like to acknowledge their work, their contribution. I would like to express my deep appreciation to the Legal Year Committee, which brings together members, representatives from the judiciary, the Attorney General's chambers, and the Ministry of Justice, as well as the private bar, under the leadership of the indeed indefatigable Honorable Justice Ibrahim Jaite, for the organization of the activities marking the opening of this you may have seen from the program, to commemorate the commencement of this year. A bench bar dialogue will provide a forum for the two critical sexes and also to foster greater bench bar collaboration. The training of judges will also feature in the program on the draft civil procedure rules of the High Court. Pursuant to the decision of the Chief Justice, the Commission review and propose improvements to the current system of land adjudication in order to sound out their views. Let me say how much we cherish and we acknowledge the work of the district tribunals, an important, very, very important part of our legal system, and for their contribution to the administration of justice in this country. A separate training programs on the draft High Court rules will also be organized for the legal practitioners as well as the registry and court staff during the Easter vacation, as they all play a key role in the implementation of these rules. In the course of the 2025 legal year, the courts and respective judicial officers and support staff continue to focus on the core mandate of the judiciary. That is to say, the hearing, determination, and disposal of cases. This task was and is always and will be a formidable one, given the complexity of the judicial process, the challenges posed by the increases in the case workload, the backlog created judiciary, and other challenges of the working environment. Nonetheless, I'm pleased to report that overall, the courts rose to the challenge reasonably well, with 6,654 cases pending as at the 1st of January 2025 before the trial courts, that is to say, the Cardiff Court tribunals, which are a very, very significant number. So we started off with 6,654 cases. And in the course of the year 2025, a total of 9,942 additional cases were filed before these courts, compared to 6,000 attempts in 2025, a very significant increase of 49% on the number of cases that we had to attend to in 2025 over what we had in 2024. During 2025, nonetheless, the trial courts disposed of 6,630 cases, which was in 2024, the courts disposed of 5,541 cases. And this was an increase also in the disposal rate of 19%. This is a commendable achievement, and I wish to acknowledge the work of all those who contributed to this success, the judges, the magistrates, the caddies, together with their support staff, as well as, of course, counsel, both public and private, as well as other participants in the judicial process. Nonetheless, the statistics, however, also unfortunately disclose a continuous steady increase in resort to the courts for the settlement of disputes. And this seems to lead us to the conclusion that litigation, rather than negotiation and settlement, out-of-court settlement, seem regrettably to be the continued preference of the community for the settlement of disputes. We must therefore strengthen the capacity of the courts to hear and determine more cases, but we must at the same time continue to encourage the out-of-court settlement ADR system, the ADR Secretariat, as well as our own traditional dispute resolution mechanisms. So despite the laudable further 2 years to the end of 2027, in tandem with the National Development Plan, setbacks in the Constitution review and replacement process also impacted negatively on the attainment of the plan objectives, particularly with regard to the restructuring of the judiciary and the full integration of the Islamic Qadi courts, as well as the district tribunals, into the justice system. Strong expectations were placed on the adoption of a new constitution, which has not materialized due to circumstances beyond the judiciary's control. It is imperative, with the failure of both drafts, It is imperative that these structural judicial reforms, on which there is general consensus, should now be legislated independently of the making of a new constitution. They should instead be enacted by an amendment, either an amendment of the current 1997 constitution or by the enactment of some other legislation. Policy decisions also by some major donors impacted negatively on the execution of the plan, as we are all aware. And it is necessary always to remind ourselves, and perhaps the government as well, that the government bears primary responsibility for funding or securing funding from partners for the execution of the development plan. A major objective of the plan, that is the development of court infrastructure countrywide in order to facilitate the right of access to justice, has benefited from very limited financial support. Only the Bundung Court Complex, housing a High Court, Magistrates Court, and Kadi Courts, was constructed. The whole of the North Bank continues to remain without any permanent court structure. And the infrastructure in the West Coast region, where with the largest cases, needs to be enhanced with additional new structures. We urge all concerned, including the government, allocate and release greater resources to fully attain not generally the goals of the plan, but particularly the infrastructure component of it, because this can impact very, very positively on access to justice. And here we continue to appeal for the collaboration and support of not just the executive, but the National Assembly as well, as they are both crucial in this respect. Your Excellency and distinguished guests, when we last assembled here on 9 February 2025, I indicated that the judiciary was looking forward to the equipping of our court records preparation unit with equipment and other facilities with the assistance of the Turkish Cooperation and Coordination Agency, TICA. I am pleased to report that TICA has indeed provided the same, as a result of which the unit is now operational in the Bundung Court Complex. The establishment and operation of this unit is important, as it ensures the expedited preparation of court records, which positively impacts on the progress of cases on appeal. Your Excellency, distinguished guests, the Special Criminal Division of the High Court has been strengthened and now comprises 4 judges. The Criminal Division, as you may be aware, hears cases emanating from the TRRC, as well as other serious crimes referred to it by the Chief Justice. And to date, the superior courts have had, 3 cases involving the state versus Yankuba Toure. The courts have also had and determined the case of the state versus Yankuba Baji and 8 others, which likely stemmed from the proceedings of the TRRC. And furthermore, in November last year, Sana Manjang, another individual recommended by the TRRC for prosecution, was arraigned before the High Court Special Division on charges including murder and other serious crimes. The judiciary is well equipped to receive any such new cases and looks forward to receiving them indeed for hearing and determination. The Commercial Division of the High Court was also established in 2025 and reinforced with 4 judges who have received specialized training with the support of the Commonwealth Magistrates and Judges Association, the United Kingdom Judicial College, and the Standing International Forum of Commercial Courts. This Commercial Division can play a vital role in promoting the speedy and efficient resolution of commercial cases. And that is important not just for justice, but it's important for our investment climate and generally for the Gambia's economy. We wish to record our appreciation for the assistance of the Judicial College and the CNJA for their support. Currently, a court users committee is now in the process of being created in order to secure the support of important local stakeholders for the optimum functioning of the specialized court. Some 2 months ago also, the strength of the subordinate courts was enhanced with the recruitment by the Judicial Service Commission of 4 new magistrates of the first class who, following an induction training by the Judicial Training Institute, have been deployed to various magistrates' courts across the country. Their appointment and deployment has filled some serious capacity gaps in these courts. In addition, the Commission has also appointed 6 legal officers of the judiciary as what we call hurricane magistrates, or they are first-class magistrates, who are tasked with the responsibility to write and deliver long-pending judgments and to hear and determine bad-heart cases before magistrates who are no longer with the judiciary. I am pleased to report that this initiative has been a great success in clearing this particular backlog of cases in the Magistrates' Court. Between them, the first 4 hurricane magistrates cleared within the 6 months of their appointment last year some 82 cases. Our great appreciation to them, and also to the 2 new appointees who have joined them. The capacity of the High Court bench will also be enhanced through the recruitment of more local judges. The JSC, the Judicial Service Commission, is currently assessing candidates for recruitment. Recommendations also have been submitted by the JSC for the filling of the existing vacancies in the Supreme Court with the appointment of local judges. These 2 initiatives, when they reach conclusion, will see to the strengthening of the superior courts with more judicial officers. And the judiciary in October last year was also enhanced with the promotion of former senior magistrate Ben File to the position of Master and Registrar of the High Court. We seize the opportunity to welcome the Master to the senior management of the judiciary. Your Excellency, distinguished guests, High Court rules were adopted as planned at a validation workshop in 2025. The rules will come into force this year after promulgation by the Rules Committee. The new rules, which will replace those in force since 1928, provide an improved framework for reducing undue delays and promoting the more expeditious disposal of civil cases in the High Court. We look forward to extending similar reviews and reform this year to the rules governing practice and procedure in the subordinate courts. The court-connected alternative dispute resolution mechanism has been active since 2024. It promotes out-of-court settlement of civil cases. Under the distinguished leadership of the Honorable Omar Njai of the Supreme Court, since the inception of the mechanism, a total number of 232 cases have been referred for mediation. Out of these, 33 have been successfully mediated, settled, and returned to court for the entry of consent judgments. A total of 112 cases has been returned to the judges concerned for continuation of proceedings following unsuccessful mediation, and a total of 88 cases presently pending and subject to ongoing mediation. The ADR registry is better staffed now. However, challenges persist in the operation of the mechanism. Some legal practitioners, some lawyers appear reluctant to engage with the mechanism, preferring litigation. Judges too, I must say, need to make greater use of the mediation mechanism. And I continue to appeal to both of them to lend their undiluted support to this worthy initiative. The previous year also saw the creation of new mechanisms and the strengthening of the existing ones in order to monitor and enhance the performance of judicial officers. In March 2025, pursuant to Direction Number 1 of 2025 issued by the Chief Justice under Section 1431 of the Constitution, the High Court Monitoring and Supervisory Committee was established and mandated to monitor, supervise High Court proceedings, and evaluate judges' performance, including the quality and timeliness of decisions and court management practices. The committee chaired by the Honorable Justice Njai is now the establishment of this committee, joining the already existing Subordinate Courts Monitoring Committee, presided over by the Honorable Justice Silla, the Kadi Courts Monitoring Committee under Honorable Kadi Seka, and the Judiciary Prisons Visiting Committee under Honorable Justice Saho, CC, all the tried courts in the judiciary are now subject to some mechanism of close monitoring and supervision in their case management. The institutional regulatory framework for the judiciary has also been the focus of much attention in the course of the past year. The judiciary led by the Honorable Justice Wright is to be commended for finalizing and submitting the schemes of service for all cadres of staff within the judiciary. It's establishing a comprehensive evaluation and appraisal system for all judicial officers as part of efforts to strengthen accountability, professionalism, and performance. A committee has been constituted to spearhead this initiative, chaired by the Honorable Justice Jallo of the Supreme Court. Its work has reached an advanced stage, and we look forward to draft proposals in the first quarter of this year in promoting efficiency, transparency, and continuous self-improvement. It will also provide objective criteria to fairly assess judicial officers' performance, thereby informing transparent and merit-based promotion decisions. And the system is expected to be fully operational before the end of 2026. And eventually, annual performance evaluation systems will be established for all staff within the judiciary. As part of ongoing efforts to strengthen governance and institutional accountability, the leadership of Honorable Justice Jallo of the Supreme Court is currently drafting GRTS regulations to fully regulate staff matters within the institution. The judiciary currently operates the judiciary, but the enactment of our own regulations is critical, as it will provide clear and transparent procedures for the appointment, discipline, and administration of all staff adjustments in line with those in the rest of the public service. The enactment of the Judicial Officers Condition Service Act has also cured the discrepancies and disparities between the emoluments of judicial officers on the one hand and those of members of the Executive and National Assembly on the other hand, and restored the parities which hitherto existed in this regard. Good recognition to the unique position of judges and the established practice in this regard in Commonwealth jurisdictions. And we expect that these measures will facilitate the President and the members of the Executive, as well as the members of the National Assembly, for their approval of these measures. Your Excellency, distinguished guests, with support from the British government, the first phase of the reconstruction of the High Court in Bakau Mile 7 is complete, and the premises are ready for use. The inauguration of the new building is part of the open space, ease congestion, and enhance access to justice. It will provide a more conducive environment for judges. Additionally, as part of the second phase and expansion, we will provide for two more courtrooms. Both structures have been earmarked for use by the Special Criminal Division of the High Court, which is Monday continues to face numerous challenges which stand in the way of attainment of its mission. Shortage of courtrooms and office space continue to hamper optimum utilization of judicial officers. There is need for adequate space to accommodate and to ensure the full functioning of all courts. Additional well-equipped and furnished courtrooms are fundamental. They are absolutely essential. They are necessary, as they positively impact on the delivery of justice. Inadequate funding for daily operations, inadequate support services, lack of adequate transportation for staff, and mobility constraints for judicial officers all continue to be setbacks. And these all put together affect our efficiency. The suspension of funding by some donors has, of course, adversely impacted the expansion, for instance, of the computer-aided recording and transcription system and the electronic case management system within the judiciary. That suspension has disrupted the implementation of key reform initiatives and infrastructure development efforts. As a result, several planned activities were delayed or curtailed in the course of 2025. We are very pleased that the UNDP and the European Union are agreeable to picking up some of these projects and we look forward. This will require greater diligence by all judges, magistrates, cadis, and their support staff, as well as by legal practitioners, other stakeholders, and all persons who are in activities which have been identified for priority action. Among them, as I said, the additional courtrooms, the consolidation and extension of the specialized coordinate courtrooms, the improvement of the regulatory framework with addition of JSC regulations, the adoption of the schemes of service and code of conduct, and a staff judicial officer of land disputes, the enhancement of our capacity for staff development with the enactment of the new GTI legislation, training for staff, recruitment of additional local judiciaries of this current new legal year. We look forward as well to rolling out the court's computer-aided transcription system, which is proving to be very fantastic, and court records. The tragic incident at the end of last year, the burning down of the Farafenni Magistrates Court, which resulted in the discharge of the entire public service, reliance on paper records, and the need for digital backup of the court archives and records. It is equally a reminder of the responsibility of state security agencies to protect state structures and resources, including all court premises countrywide. The cause of the fire is currently unknown and is under investigation by the police. Meanwhile, measures are being implemented by the judiciary for the reconstruction of both the structure and the records of the court unwavering. The successful implementation of all these foregoing measures requires the fullest support and collaboration of many stakeholders, with funding and with flow and democracy in the Gambia, strengthening it through an independent, efficient justice delivery system, and with the assurance and with the knowledge they are open. Your Excellency.
Justices of the Superior Courts, Honorable Speaker, and National Assembly members, Honorable Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Honorable Cabinet Ministers, Your Wordships, Tefolu, and members of district tribunals, President and members of the Gambia Bar Association, members, ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to preside over the opening of the 2026 legal year. These events annually allow us to reflect on the status of our justice sector and to reaffirm our commitment to the rule of law and effective justice delivery. The administration of justice remains a cornerstone of our democracy, principally because a strong judiciary is indispensable for peace, stability, good governance, and sustainable development. Therefore, that the implementation of the judiciary sector strategic plan has already yielded notable achievements for justice, strengthen judicial independence, and sustain capacity building for judicial officers and staff. This system, this aligns with the emphasis of the Commonwealth heads of government on innovation in judicial practice personalities. I particularly commend the establishment of the Interdepartmental Committee on Land Dispute Adjudication It reflects we eagerly await the committee's recommendations to solve the growing volume and complexity of land-related cases in the country. The outcome of this process is expectedly last year. My government enacted the 2025 Judicial Officers Conditions of Service Act. These landmark legislation, the Act affirms the judiciary as a key arm of government by improving its remuneration packages and working conditions and reinforce public trust in the justice system. To complement these reforms, the Ministry of Justice is developing. I am pleased to announce that I personally approved the request to replace the whole fleet of vehicles for judges in the superior courts. Their duties with dignity and efficiency. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, following the ECOWAS Authority Mechanism Act and the Special Prosecutor's Office Act to prosecute perpetrators of gross human rights violations from July 1994 to January to commence war soonest. The establishment of a special division of the High Court is an added highlight. Minister of Justice is currently leading a legal team at the International Court of Justice, ICJ, to argue our case against May. The court has held full merits hearings in a genocide case. We are optimistic of a favorable outcome that will uphold justice for the Rohingya people and reaffirm international law, human rights, and accountability. Incidentally, the case has firmly placed the Gambia on the global stage as a principal Nations General Assembly requesting an advisory opinion from the ICJ on the obligations of states in respect of climate change. Together with other countries, the court ruled that states have binding obligations under climate treaties, customary international law, and other treaties. Gambia's engagement with the Universal Periodic Review (UPR) process remains central to our human rights accountability and democratic governance commitment. Last January, we went through our fourth UPR review before the Human Rights Council in Geneva. Out of 309 recommendations, we accepted 2 performances. Led by the Minister of Justice, the Gambian delegation presented updates on ongoing reforms on transitional justice brought to the UPR, but recognized the process as a mechanism to improve the lives of our people. We remain committed, therefore, to acting on accepted recommendations. Esteemed personalities, ladies and gentlemen, like other concerned citizens, my government is strongly opposed to corruption. I am thus happy to announce that the appointment of the commissioners earmarked for the Anti-Corruption Commission will be finalized soon. Of professionalism and dedication to public service, high enough to lead the fight against corruption. To comment briefly on the policy and vision of the justice sector policy. This policy seeks to outline my government's vision for a modern, accessible, and effective justice system. It will serve as a roadmap for continued reform and institutional strengthening across the justice sector institutions. Proudly, all these have been achieved under the charter. His service to the nation is one of distinction, marked by a visionary steward's inspiring guidance. The judiciary has implemented groundbreaking reforms that have strengthened access to justice, enhanced institutional capacity, stable legacy of integrity, wisdom, and progressive leadership that will impact our justice sector for ages. As we open the 20th Republic, To conclude, be assured that my government will remain supportive of the legal sector institutions for the fulfillment of their constitutional.
But this is just a guideline of the program, the remaining program. After the speech of the President of the Republic, His Excellency the President should meet the governors, President and members of by the official photo of the President and the stakeholders. And finally, His Excellency the President meet the staff of the Judiciary, Minister of Justice,
I'm saying,